Hey guys, today we're doing another card of the day. Today's card of the day is Cosmos Elixir. 4 mana artifact with, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life total. Otherwise, you gain 2 life. I was super sad that this wasn't like a 3 mana white enchantment. Maro has said it, and it's been noted that perhaps this could have been in the future been a white card, but the fact that it's not white kind of makes me sad because you can shove this in any deck. White does have the easiest way of getting life, but black is really close. And that's unfortunate, right? Like you want white to have their own separate thing, but it's an artifact. But anyways, that aside, this artifact is interesting. I think in standard for like a Heliod centered life gain deck or something like that, this could see some play. I think it works pretty well against aggro because it ends up being a 4 mana enchantment. If you live that long, I mean you get immediate impact where like it's 4 mana gain 2 life at your end step. But in an aggro matchup, if this lasts for a few turns, this is just like straight card advantage, right? Because their bolts and their shocks and all that, not bolts, I'm sorry, that's modern. But their shocks and their lightning strikes get negated because this just gains you 2 life. And eventually you start drawing cards because their one card is strictly traded with this card, and it's like their 3 cards get traded with this one card, right? So it becomes pretty strong in an aggro matchup if you get there. Maybe you could sideboard it if you're control and you're on the play, perhaps. I don't know, but it's pretty nice. I think flavor wise, this card is pretty cool too because I think this depiction, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure the depiction is of this elixir that is what makes the Kaldheim gods immortal, and thus it's making you immortal by gaining you life, aka the person. If you guys know the whole idea about how magic revolves around the player and the actual cards being played, it's essentially gaining you, keeping you filled with life, right? And it tops off by letting you draw cards. So that's the elixir part, which is, it's cool. It's a nice tie back to the immortality of how the Kaldheim gods work, or yeah, Kaldheim gods work. So it's neat. Power wise, I think this card could have been a little stronger for 4 mana, but I think that's partly because it's an artifact. Like, imagine this being a white enchantment. If this was a white enchantment, imagine this saying something like 3 mana, like a white and a generic. At the end, you're at the beginning of your end step. If your starting life total isn't your starting life total, if your life total isn't your starting life total, gain 3 life instead of 2, right? And it's also 1 mana less, which is this is a huge change, right? That's a huge big change. It'll also be super welcomed for like those white decks that need card draw, stuff like that. That's what I wish this was, and it isn't. And I don't even think this will see too much play in even like casual games of Commander. Like it's really hard to keep your life. People are playing creatures all the time. If you're playing a slower deck, which just might want to go in a more aggro based deck where you're destroying everyone else's life total, and they don't have time to mess with your artifacts. Instead, they need to mess with your creatures. This probably comes like a decent play, right? Because you definitely want to like diversify your threats and things like that, and this is pretty decent. So with that being said, it also nets you a card on your first and the cast too. Essentially, if you don't lose life, right? No one like bolts you in commander or something like that. It's not that bad if you think about it in casual. If you're playing like a pillow fort deck, but at 4 mana, there are a lot of other things you want to do at 4 mana, like cast wrath, stuff like that. But hey, that's your thing. Even in life gain decks, this is pretty decent because it's just another life gain trigger. It's no sun droplet, but it's still pretty decent. It's decent effect. I wouldn't put it honestly, personally, from my times of playing Magic. And I've been playing Magic for about, and I tend to play it towards the more high power level. I probably wouldn't play this in any deck that isn't strictly a life gain deck because it just seems a little too slow. You get one trigger, and then if the game lasts any longer, it's like all right. If you're at your starting life total, it's just like a sort of a card draw engine slash win more because it's like you already have a lot of life and no one's attacking you. It seems like their priorities are in the wrong area. Like I don't know, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about this card. It feels really close to being decent, but it to me it seems to just fall short of being like casual playable in EDH. And I think it would be a nice sideboard card in standard. But as per usual, that's just what I think about this card. Tell me what you guys think about this card in the comments down below. I think it's a nice little source of colorless card advantage, and it's pretty cute for the most part. Just gaining life and drawing cards. Drawing cards is a bit of a stretch, but you gain life and you could draw some cards with this, right? So it's cool in that sense. Anyways, see you guys later, and yeah, deuces.